Welcome back to another episode of Infidelity Tales Lab. We're thankful for your continued viewership. Before we begin, tell us, where in the world are you watching from? We love knowing our global reach. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1, Foundations. Vincent Russo built his empire from nothing. At 43, he commanded respect in Boston's real estate development world, not through inherited wealth, but through calculated risk and unflinching determination. His father, a construction worker who died on site when Vincent was 15, left him with only one lesson. Trust is earned, never given. The Beacon Hill brownstone he shared with his wife Natalie and their son Leo represented everything he'd fought for. Vincent wasn't just wealthy. He was powerful. The kind of power that came from knowing people's weaknesses and having the patience to use that knowledge at precisely the right moment. "Dad, can you help me with this?" Leo, now 8, struggled with his science project on the dining room table. Vincent set down his phone and joined his son. Unlike his own father, Vincent made time for Leo. "Let me see what we're working with." Leo beamed as they assembled the solar system model together. Vincent had always been attentive, despite the demands of running Russo developments. He made sure to never miss Leo's baseball games or parent-teacher conferences. When he met Natalie Harmon 12 years ago, she was a vibrant art gallery assistant with dreams of opening her own space. He admired her ambition and fell for her free spirit, something he never allowed himself. He funded her gallery, the Harmon Collection, 5 years into their marriage. "Vincent, I've got that charity auction tonight," Natalie reminded him as she entered the room. At 38, she remained striking, sleek blonde hair, green eyes that could disarm even his most calculated business associates. "You've been having a lot of those lately," Vincent commented, not looking up from Leo's project. Natalie brushed her fingers across his shoulders. "The gallery's reputation depends on these connections. You understand that better than anyone." He did understand connections. He also understood patterns. The late nights, the changed passwords, the new clothes. Vincent didn't build his empire by ignoring details. That evening, after tucking Leo in, Vincent sat in his home office reviewing security footage. Not from his properties, but from the discrete system he'd installed throughout his home 6 months ago when his intuition first signaled trouble. His phone buzzed with a text from Douglas Ward, his head of security and former Army Ranger. Confirmed. Same hotel. Room 1214. Vincent didn't respond immediately. He opened his desk drawer and removed a small black notebook. Inside were detailed notes, dates, times, phone numbers, bank transactions. He'd been compiling evidence methodically, the way he approached everything in life. He poured himself 2 fingers of bourbon and gazed out at the Boston skyline. Vincent had learned long ago that reaction without preparation was the mark of a weak man. And Vincent Russo was anything but weak. Chapter 2, Shattered Glass. 3 weeks passed as Vincent continued his surveillance. He learned that charity auctions typically meant meetings with Brendan Powell, a British art dealer who had partnered with Natalie's gallery 6 months ago. Brendan was everything Vincent wasn't: flamboyant, artistic, with an aristocratic background that opened doors in Boston's old money circles. He'd brought international attention to Natalie's gallery through his connections. And now, he was bringing something else to Vincent's wife. Leo's asking about summer camp options. Vincent mentioned casually over breakfast. "I was thinking the science program at Westridge." Natalie sipped her coffee. "I thought we agreed on the arts camp on Cape Cod. It's more well-rounded." "It's 3 hours away," Vincent replied. "And extremely exclusive for an 8-year-old. He needs to broaden his horizons," Natalie insisted. "Besides, Brendan's nephew attended last year and had an amazing experience. The connections those children make. Brendan seems to be influencing a lot of our family decisions lately." Vincent kept his voice measured. Natalie's eyes narrowed slightly. "He's a business partner with valuable insights. Is that all he is?" Vincent held her gaze. The silence between them stretched taut until Leo bounded into the kitchen, breaking the tension. That evening, Vincent received a report from his private investigator. Natalie and Brendan had been seen entering his downtown apartment together on multiple occasions. The investigator had also discovered a separate bank account Natalie had opened 3 months ago, with regular transfers occurring. Vincent made his decision. He contacted his lawyer, Miranda Foster, requesting an emergency meeting the following morning. "I need everything prepared within 2 weeks," Vincent instructed Miranda in her downtown office. "Full documentation of assets, custody arrangements, everything. But nothing filed yet." Miranda, who had handled Vincent's business affairs for a decade, nodded. "You're sure about this?" "I have video, financial records, hotel receipts," Vincent replied flatly. "And I want the Prescott Clause activated." Miranda's eyebrows rose. The Prescott Clause was a little-known provision Vincent had inserted into his prenuptial agreement. If infidelity could be proven with evidence gathered by a licensed investigator, certain protected assets would remain untouchable regardless of Massachusetts' equitable distribution laws. "Vincent, that's aggressive even for you," Miranda cautioned. "She's not just sleeping with him," Vincent said, sliding a folder across the desk. "They've been planning to open a new gallery in London using my investment money. The gallery I funded for her would be liquidated. Leo would attend boarding school in England." Miranda reviewed the documents, her expression grave. "This is thorough." "I don't leave things to chance," Vincent replied. "She gets nothing from me. Not the gallery, not alimony, nothing. Sole custody of Leo stays with me. Courts typically favor mothers. Not when the mother is planning to remove the child from the country without the father's consent," Vincent countered, tapping another document. Email exchanges between Natalie and the Ashford Academy in London. Enrollment papers already submitted for next fall. Miranda sighed. "I'll prepare everything." Vincent stood to leave. "One more thing. I want to know everything about Brendan Powell. Real history, real finances, real connections." Chapter 3. Calculated Moves. Vincent maintained an outward appearance of normalcy while Miranda worked. He attended Leo's school play, hosted a dinner party for business associates, and even accompanied Natalie to a gallery opening. During this time, the information on Brendan Powell arrived. The aristocratic background was partially fabricated. While he did come from money, his family had lost most of it 2 generations ago. His art world connections were real, but his personal finances were precarious, leveraged to maintain the appearance of wealth. Most interestingly, Brendan had a pattern. 3 previous relationships with gallery owners had ended with failed joint ventures and significant financial losses for his partners. Vincent began making his own moves. First, he transferred a significant portion of his liquid assets into offshore holdings inaccessible to Massachusetts courts. Next, he quietly purchased the building housing Natalie's gallery through a shell corporation. Finally, he arranged for a board meeting at Westfield Academy, Boston's most prestigious private school, where he pledged a substantial donation for a new science building. 2 days before Vincent planned to confront Natalie, she approached him in his home office. "We need to talk," she said, her expression uncharacteristically vulnerable. Vincent closed his laptop. "I'm listening." "I've been offered an amazing opportunity," she began. "A partnership with a gallery in London. It would mean relocating, at least part-time." "And Leo?" Vincent asked calmly. "There's a wonderful school." "You've already looked into schools?" Vincent's tone remained measured. Natalie nodded, seemingly relieved at his composure. "Ashford Academy. It's perfect for him, Vincent. This move would benefit all of us." "All of us," Vincent repeated. "Or you and Brendan?" The color drained from Natalie's face. "What are you talking about?" Vincent opened his desk drawer and removed the black notebook. June 15th, Ritz-Carlton, room 812. June 23rd, your gallery after hours. July 2nd, his apartment on Marlborough Street. "You've been spying on me?" Natalie's shock transformed into indignation. "I've been protecting my interests," Vincent corrected her. "And Leo's." "It's not what you think." "It never is," Vincent interrupted. "Here's what happens next. You're moving out tonight. The divorce papers are ready. The prenup's Prescott Clause has been activated based on the evidence I've collected." "The Prescott Clause?" Natalie blanched. "But that means you get nothing from me," Vincent finished for her. "Not the house, not alimony, not the gallery. You can't take my gallery." Natalie's voice rose. Actually, RSV Holdings purchased that building last month. Your lease is being terminated for renovation purposes. Vincent's expression remained impassive. As for Leo, I've already secured his place at Westfield Academy here in Boston. Sole custody stays with me. Natalie stood trembling. You planned all this. You taught me an important lesson, Natalie. Always see the betrayal coming. Vincent checked his watch. Douglas will help you pack essentials. You have 2 hours. I'll fight you, she warned. I'm still his mother. Fight me with what? Vincent asked. Your boyfriend's money? I've seen his financials. Or perhaps with the sympathy of the court when they learn you attempted to enroll our son in a foreign boarding school without my knowledge. When Natalie left that night, Leo was already asleep. Vincent told him the next morning that his mother had to travel for work. It wasn't until the divorce was finalized 3 months later that Leo understood she wouldn't be coming home. Chapter 4. New Realities. 6 months after the divorce, Vincent and Leo settled into a new routine. The brownstone had been sold, too many memories, and they relocated to a modern penthouse overlooking the harbor. Leo attended Westfield Academy, where his natural aptitude for mathematics flourished under the guidance of specialized teachers. Vincent had arranged his business affairs to allow more time with his son. Afternoons were spent helping with homework or practicing baseball in the park. Weekends often involved sailing, Vincent teaching Leo the patience and precision required to navigate changing winds. Natalie maintained visitation rights, but frequently canceled at the last minute. Her relationship with Brendan had continued, though their London plans had stalled due to financial complications. Why does a mom want to see me? Leo asked one Sunday evening after another canceled visit. Vincent set aside his work and sat beside his son on the couch. Sometimes adults make choices based on what they want rather than what's right. Your mother loves you, but she's learning how to balance her new life. He never spoke ill of Natalie to Leo, despite what she had done. Vincent's revenge wasn't about poisoning his son against his mother. It was about something far more comprehensive. Meanwhile, Vincent had Douglas maintain surveillance on Natalie and Brendan. Reports showed their relationship growing strained as financial pressures mounted. Without Vincent's backing, Natalie struggled to maintain her gallery's prominence. Brendan's creditors had begun calling more frequently as several investments failed to materialize. Mr. Russo, Douglas reported during their weekly security briefing, there's something you should know. Powell has been making inquiries about your current development projects. He's approached 3 of your business partners, claiming to represent potential European investors. Vincent nodded thoughtfully. Send me the names. And Douglas, have your contact at Interpol run another check on Powell. Focus on business dealings in France and Italy from 2015 to 2018. That evening, Vincent received a call from Patricia Harmon, Natalie's mother. You've ruined her life, Patricia accused without preamble. She's lost weight. She's anxious all the time. Hello, Patricia, Vincent interrupted calmly. I understand you're upset, but I didn't force Natalie to betray our marriage or attempt to take my son overseas. She made a mistake. People deserve second chances. Some mistakes can't be undone, Vincent replied. How was the new condo? Patricia paused, thrown by the question. What? The waterfront condo you purchased last month. 3 bedrooms, remarkable view. Quite an upgrade from your previous place. Oh, what do you know about that? I make it my business to know things, Vincent said smoothly. Especially when someone purchases a $2.3 million property shortly after receiving a large wire transfer from an account linked to Brendan Powell. The silence that followed told Vincent everything he needed to know. You knew, he concluded. You helped them plan it. Vincent, goodbye, Patricia. Give Natalie my regards. As Vincent ended the call, he added Patricia's name to his mental list. Vincent Russo never forgot a betrayal. Chapter 5. Shifting Tides. 2 years passed. Leo had grown into a thoughtful, resilient 11-year-old who excelled at school and baseball. His relationship with Natalie had stabilized into predictable monthly visits that he seemed to enjoy despite their brevity. Vincent's business empire had expanded significantly. Russo Developments now had projects in 3 states, including a massive waterfront revitalization in their home city. One evening, Vincent received an unexpected call from Brendan Powell. "Vincent, we should talk." Brendan's accented voice carried the forced confidence of a desperate man. "I don't believe we have anything to discuss," Vincent replied coldly. "I think you'll want to hear what I have to say. It concerns information that could be valuable to you." Vincent's instincts sharpened. "You have 5 minutes. My office tomorrow, 8 a.m. The following morning, Brendan arrived at Vincent's downtown office looking considerably less polished than in his gallery days. His custom suit hung loosely on his frame, and dark circles shadowed his eyes. "Thank you for seeing me," Brendan began. Vincent didn't offer him a seat. For minutes remaining, Brendan cleared his throat. "I've been approached by someone interested in your Harbor Point development. They're willing to pay significantly for insider information about zoning contingencies and construction timelines. And you thought you'd warn me out of the goodness of your heart." Vincent's tone made it clear he wasn't buying it. "Not exactly." Brendan shifted uncomfortably. "I'm in a difficult financial position. The art market has been unforgiving lately. So you're offering to sell me information about someone trying to sabotage my project," Vincent clarified. "In exchange for what?" $200,000 would resolve my immediate issues." Vincent studied the man who had nearly destroyed his family. "Who approached you?" "Calvin Donovan from Meridian Properties. They've been trying to block your development through regulatory challenges, but the latest zoning approval hurt their position." Vincent had suspected Meridian's involvement in the recent regulatory hurdles. Having confirmation was valuable, but not worth what Brendan was asking. "Here's my counteroffer," Vincent said. "You provide me with all communication you've had with Donovan, including meeting dates and what information he requested. In exchange, I don't inform him that you attempted to double-cross him. That's not." Additionally, Vincent continued as if Brendan hadn't spoken, "You'll leave Boston permanently. Whatever arrangement you still have with my ex-wife can continue long distance if she chooses." "You can't force me to leave the city," Brendan protested. Vincent smiled thinly. 3 fraud investigations can. The statute of limitations on art forgery in Massachusetts is 5 years. Your activities in the Harmon Gallery between 2018 and 2019 would be of particular interest to the Attorney General's office. Brendan's face drained of color. "How did you?" "I know everything about you, Powell. Every falsified provenance, every inflated appraisal. I've known for years." Vincent glanced at his watch. "Your 5 minutes are up. Decision time." 2 days later, Brendan Powell left Boston for Europe. He told Natalie it was a temporary move to explore new markets, but they both knew he wouldn't return. Natalie appeared at Vincent's office unannounced the following week, fury evident in her expression. "What did you do to him?" she demanded. Vincent didn't look up from his computer. "I offered him a choice. He made it. You threatened him." "I reminded him of consequences," Vincent corrected. "There's a difference." Natalie sank into a chair, deflated. "Why now? After all this time?" Vincent finally met her gaze. "He came to me, Natalie, offered to sell out his new associates to finance your lifestyle a little longer." "I don't believe you." Vincent opened his desk drawer and removed a USB drive, sliding it across the desk. His recorded conversation with me. His emails with Donovan. The financial records showing how he's been bleeding your gallery dry. It's all there. Natalie stared at the drive, but didn't take it. "He was never going to open that London gallery with you." Vincent continued dispassionately. "The investors he claimed to have lined up don't exist. The exclusive properties he promised were already sold to other buyers." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because Leo deserves better than watching his mother destroy herself for a con artist." Vincent leaned forward. "Make better choices, Natalie. If not for yourself, then for our son." As Natalie left, Vincent knew a new phase of his plan had begun. The foundation had been laid. Now it was time to build. Chapter 6. Calculated Risks. Over the next year, Vincent's surveillance reports on Natalie revealed significant changes. After Brendan's departure, she had focused on rebuilding her gallery's reputation. She secured a new, smaller space and cultivated relationships with emerging local artists rather than chasing international names. More importantly, she became more consistent with Leo, rarely missing scheduled visits and showing genuine interest in his activities. Vincent observed these developments with guarded optimism but remained vigilant. Meanwhile, Vincent's business continued to thrive. The Harbor Point development overcame the regulatory challenges and construction progressed ahead of schedule. Vincent had used the information from Brendan to neutralize Calvin Donovan, exposing his underhanded tactics to Meridian's board of directors. As Leo approached his 12th birthday, Vincent arranged a special celebration. He rented a small yacht for the weekend, inviting Leo's closest friends and, after some consideration, extended an invitation to Natalie. The day before the party, Vincent received an unexpected visitor at his office. "Mr. Russo, there's a Ms. Harmon here to see you," his assistant announced. Vincent assumed it was Natalie, but instead, Patricia Harmon entered his office. The years had not been kind to her, financial stress evident in her appearance. "Patricia," Vincent acknowledged coolly. "What brings you here?" "I've come to ask for your help," she said, her former haughtiness replaced by thinly veiled desperation. "I'm losing my condo." Vincent leaned back in his chair. "The one purchased with Brendan Powell's money? The money meant to finance taking my son away from me." Patricia flinched. "I made a terrible mistake. I believed what Natalie and Brendan told me about you, that you were controlling, that you were stifling her career. And now I know they manipulated me too." Patricia's hands trembled. "Brendan convinced me to invest my retirement savings in art that turned out to be worthless. The condo is in foreclosure." Vincent studied her, remembering her smug satisfaction during the divorce proceedings, her whispered comments to Natalie that he wasn't worth fighting for. "What exactly are you asking for?" "A loan," Patricia replied. "Just enough to keep the condo until I can sell it properly rather than at auction." Vincent opened his laptop and pulled up a document. "Did you know that RSV Holdings purchased your mortgage last month?" Patricia's eyes widened. "That's your company." "One of them," Vincent confirmed. "I've owned your debt for 28 days. "Why would you do that?" "Because I never leave things to chance, Patricia." Vincent turned the laptop toward her, displaying a contract. "Here's my offer. The mortgage will be restructured with manageable payments, and you'll retain ownership of the condo." Relief washed over Patricia's face. "Thank you, Vincent. I don't deserve." "In exchange," Vincent continued, "you'll sign this statement acknowledging your role in the conspiracy to separate me from my son." Patricia stiffened. "What would you do with that?" "Keep it," Vincent replied simply. "Unless you ever attempt to influence Leo against me or assist Natalie in violating our custody agreement." "You're blackmailing me." "I'm offering you a choice," Vincent corrected, "just as I offered one to Brendan." Patricia left with the restructured mortgage and her signature on Vincent's document. As she departed, Vincent made a note to have Douglas maintain surveillance on her as well. The yacht party for Leo's birthday went smoothly. Vincent watched with satisfaction as his son navigated social interactions with confidence, already showing signs of the man he would become. Natalie arrived punctually, bringing a thoughtfully chosen gift, a telescope, recognizing Leo's growing interest in astronomy. Vincent acknowledged her with a civil nod. As the children enjoyed the entertainment below deck, Natalie approached Vincent at the stern. "Thank you for including me today," she said quietly. Vincent kept his eyes on the horizon. "Leo wanted you here. I've been thinking about what you said last year, about making better choices." Natalie hesitated. "I'm selling the gallery." This caught Vincent's attention. "Why?" "I've been offered a curator position at the Bergman Museum. It's stable, prestigious, and would give me more regular hours for Leo." Vincent considered this information. The Bergman was indeed prestigious and conveniently located in Boston. "That sounds reasonable." "I also wanted to discuss revising our custody arrangement," Natalie continued. "Not to reduce your time with Leo," she added quickly, seeing his expression harden, "but to make it more flexible. Maybe some weeknight dinners in addition to weekends." "We can have the lawyers review options," Vincent conceded, surprising himself with his willingness to consider it. As Natalie walked away, Vincent wondered if people truly could change. He didn't believe in redemption, not really, but he recognized strategic adaptation when he saw it. That evening, as Vincent tucked an exhausted Leo into bed, his son asked a question that caught him off guard. "Dad, are you still angry at Mom?" Vincent considered his answer carefully. "I'm disappointed in choices she made, but anger doesn't help us move forward." "She seems different now," Leo observed. "People can change their behavior when they understand consequences," Vincent replied. "Get some sleep, champion. Big baseball game tomorrow." As he closed Leo's door, Vincent received a text from Douglas. "Powell back in Boston. Meeting with Sullivan tomorrow." Derek Sullivan was a real estate attorney who had represented several of Vincent's competitors. The timing was suspicious, especially with Harbor Point entering its final and most vulnerable phase of development. Vincent's instincts, the same ones that had alerted him to Natalie's betrayal, began to tingle with warning. Something was coming, and he needed to be prepared. Chapter 7: Gathering Storms. The following months brought significant developments. Natalie sold her gallery and began her position at the Bergman Museum. Their revised custody arrangement allowed Leo to spend Tuesday and Thursday evenings with her, which he seemed to enjoy. Vincent remained cautiously optimistic about these changes, but continued monitoring the situation. More concerning was Brendan Powell's return to Boston. Douglas's surveillance revealed regular meetings between Powell and Derek Sullivan, but the content of these meetings remained elusive. Vincent instructed Douglas to increase surveillance and authorize more aggressive information-gathering tactics. "They're planning something related to Harbor Point," Douglas reported after installing listening devices in Sullivan's office. "Powell claims to have documents that could derail the project's completion." Vincent frowned. "What kind of documents?" He wasn't specific, but Sullivan seemed impressed enough to arrange a meeting with Hayden Blackwell. Vincent's eyes narrowed at the name. Blackwell headed the Urban Development Committee that had approved Harbor Point's final permits. If Powell and Sullivan were approaching him, they likely sought to challenge those approvals. "I need to know what Powell has," Vincent instructed, "and where he got it." 3 days later, Vincent received his answer in the form of photographs showing Powell and Natalie's mother, Patricia, meeting at an out-of-the-way restaurant. The surveillance team captured images of Patricia handing Brendan a large envelope. Vincent immediately called Patricia. "We had an agreement," he said when she answered. "Vincent, I can explain. I'll be at your condo in 30 minutes. Vincent cut her off. "Be there." When he arrived, Patricia looked terrified. "He threatened to expose my financial problems to Natalie if I didn't help him," she blurted before Vincent could speak. "What did you give him?" Patricia wrung her hands. "Some old papers from when you and Natalie were married. Things she kept in a box at my house during the divorce." "What kind of papers, Patricia?" Vincent's voice was dangerously calm. "Preliminary designs for Harbor Point. Natalie had them because you worked on the concept at home sometimes. Brendan said they proved you stole the design from another architect." Vincent processed this information. The original Harbor Point concept had indeed been collaborative, created with an architect named Russell Foreman who had later moved to Chicago without pursuing the project. Vincent had substantially modified the designs and properly acquired all rights, but Powell could potentially create problems by misrepresenting the timeline. "Did Natalie know you gave these documents to Powell?" Patricia shook her head emphatically. "No, she doesn't even know he's back in Boston. I didn't tell her because I knew she was trying to make things right with you for Leo's sake." Vincent believed her, which presented both a problem and an opportunity. "Here's what happens now," Vincent said. "You're going to call Powell and tell him you found more documents. Arrange to meet him tomorrow." "And then what?" "Then I'll handle Powell," Vincent replied. "Permanently." The next day, Patricia met Brendan Powell at the designated location, a coffee shop near the waterfront. Vincent watched from his car as Powell accepted another envelope from Patricia, his expression smug. As Powell left the coffee shop, Douglas and 2 other security team members intercepted him, guiding him firmly to a waiting SUV where Vincent sat in the back seat. "Hello, Brendan." Vincent greeted him as the vehicle pulled away. "We need to talk." Powell's smugness evaporated. "I have nothing to say to you, Russo." "That's unfortunate," Vincent replied, "because I have quite a bit to say to you." The SUV drove to an empty warehouse owned by one of Vincent's shell companies. Inside, a single chair stood in the center of the concrete floor. "What is this?" Powell asked, fear creeping into his voice as Douglas guided him to the chair. "This is where you make another choice," Vincent explained, remaining perfectly calm. "You can return all documents you receive from Patricia, cease all communication with Sullivan and Blackwell, and leave Boston today. Or Douglas can explain the alternatives." Douglas placed a hand on Powell's shoulder, applying just enough pressure to communicate the threat. "You're insane," Powell sputtered. "You can't just threaten people like this." Vincent stepped closer. "3 years ago, you conspired with my wife to steal my son and my money. You manipulated her mother into assisting you. When that failed, you returned to try again with these documents." Vincent removed the envelope from Powell's jacket pocket. "Did you really think I wouldn't be prepared?" Powell swallowed hard. "Sullivan already has copies." "I know," Vincent replied. "But without you to testify about their provenance, they're meaningless. And you won't be testifying." "You can't kill me," Powell whispered. "You wouldn't." Vincent actually laughed. "Kill you? That would be messy and unnecessary. No, I'm going to destroy you methodically, starting with the evidence of art fraud I've compiled, then the tax evasion charges, then the outstanding warrants in Italy." Vincent handed Powell a phone. "Call Sullivan. Tell him you're leaving the country on urgent business and can't proceed with the Harbor Point matter." Powell's hands shook as he made the call, delivering the message as instructed. "Good," Vincent said when the call ended. "Now, Douglas will drive you to the airport. Your passport and a one-way ticket to London are waiting. If you ever return to Boston or contact Natalie or Patricia again, all that evidence goes to authorities in 3 countries." As Powell was escorted out, Vincent turned his attention to the next phase of his plan. Chapter 8. The Wedding Day. 6 months passed. Harbor Point was completed on schedule, becoming the crown jewel of Vincent's real estate portfolio. Leo continued to thrive, his relationship with Natalie stabilizing into something that, while not the traditional family Vincent had once envisioned, seemed to benefit their son. Vincent had just returned from a business trip to Chicago, where he had secured Russell Foreman's formal acknowledgement of Vincent's full ownership of the Harbor Point designs, when he received an unexpected invitation. Natalie was getting married. Her fiancé, Martin Sullivan, was Derek Sullivan's younger brother and a professor of art history at Boston University. They had apparently met through her work at the Bergman Museum and had been dating for nearly a year, a fact Vincent was aware of through his continued light surveillance, but had not interfered with. "Are you going to Mom's wedding?" Leo asked over dinner the evening the invitation arrived. Vincent considered the question. "Would you like me to?" Leo shrugged. "It might be weird, but Martin's okay. He knows a lot about space stuff, too." Vincent noted his son's apparent approval of the man who would become his stepfather. "Then I'll consider it." 2 days later, Vincent received a call from Natalie. "You don't have to come," she said after an awkward greeting. "I just thought, for Leo's sake." "I appreciate the invitation," Vincent replied neutrally. "Leo seems to think highly of your fiancé." "Martin's different," Natalie said quickly. "He's honest and stable. He's good for me, and he genuinely cares about Leo." Vincent detected the implicit comparison to Brendan Powell. "I'm glad to hear that. There's something else," Natalie continued. "My mother is insisting on handling certain aspects of the wedding. I'm worried she might make things uncomfortable if you attend." "Patricia and I have an understanding," Vincent assured her, thinking of the document Patricia had signed. "It won't be a problem." When the wedding day arrived, Vincent dressed carefully in a tailored gray suit. Leo looked handsome in his junior groomsman attire. "Ready, champion?" Vincent asked as they prepared to leave. Leo nodded. "Mom said I can sit with you during the reception if I want to." The ceremony was held at the Bergman Museum's Sculpture Garden, a tasteful venue that reflected Natalie's position there. Vincent sat discreetly near the back, observing the proceedings with detached interest. Martin Sullivan appeared genuinely besotted with Natalie, his vows sincere and unaffected. For a brief moment, Vincent felt an unexpected pang, not of jealousy or regret, but of recognition that some chapter in his life was truly closing. He had moved on from Natalie long ago, but seeing her begin this new chapter formalized that distance in a way divorce papers hadn't. The reception began smoothly enough. Vincent kept to himself, exchanging polite nods with guests who recognized him. Leo performed his duties admirably, then joined Vincent at his table for dinner. It was during the meal that Patricia Harmon, clearly having consumed several glasses of champagne, approached their table with the wedding planner. "You need to move," she announced loudly. "These tables are for family and close friends." Vincent remained seated, placing a calming hand on Leo's shoulder. "Leo and I were invited, Patricia, by Natalie." The wedding planner looked uncomfortable. "Mrs. Harmon, perhaps." "They can sit in the back," Patricia insisted, gesturing toward some hastily arranged tables near the kitchen entrance. "We need this space for Martin's colleagues." Several nearby guests turned to watch the confrontation. Vincent noticed Natalie across the room, engaged in conversation and unaware of the situation. "We're fine here," Vincent replied calmly. Patricia's face flushed with alcohol and bitterness. "Look at them," she said to the wedding planner, but clearly intending to be overheard. "They look so cheap compared to Martin's family." Vincent couldn't even wear a proper tuxedo. Leo's face reddened with embarrassment. Vincent squeezed his shoulder reassuringly. Martin Sullivan, noticing the commotion, approached the table. "Is everything all right?" "Your new mother-in-law seems to have seating concerns," Vincent explained evenly. "They shouldn't be at this table," Patricia insisted. "They shouldn't even be here at all." Martin frowned. "Patricia, Vincent, and Leo are welcome guests. Natalie and I specifically discussed. Just be grateful you're invited at all." Patricia snapped at Vincent. "After what you did to Natalie's gallery." Vincent remained impassive, but Leo looked increasingly distressed by his grandmother's behavior. "Leo, why don't you get some air?" Vincent suggested quietly. "I want to stay with you, Dad," Leo replied, his voice small but determined. At that moment, Natalie joined the group, quickly assessing the situation. "Mother, that's enough. Vincent and Leo are sitting exactly where they're supposed to be." Patricia turned to her daughter. "You're too soft, Natalie. Always have been. You should have taken him for everything when you had the chance." An uncomfortable silence fell over the nearby tables. Vincent noticed Derek Sullivan watching from across the room, his expression calculating. Vincent stood slowly. "Leo, and I should probably—" "No," Natalie interrupted. "This is Leo's mother's wedding. He deserves to be here without drama." She turned to Patricia. "Mother, I think I need to take a break. Maybe get some coffee." As a waiter led a protesting Patricia away, Martin apologized profusely to Vincent and Leo. "I'm so sorry about that. Please, stay and enjoy the reception." Vincent nodded in acknowledgement, but the damage had been done. Leo sat silently, picking at his food, clearly uncomfortable with the attention their table had received. An hour passed. The cake was cut, speeches were given, and dancing began. Vincent was considering making a discreet exit with Leo when he noticed a black limousine pull up outside the venue's floor-to-ceiling windows. His phone vibrated with a text from Douglas. "In position." Vincent checked his watch. Perfect timing. The limousine driver, Douglas in disguise, entered the reception hall in a crisp uniform. He scanned a room, then walked directly to Vincent's table, ignoring the curious stares. Douglas approached Leo, offering a formal bow. "Young Mr. Russo?" Leo looked up in surprise. "Yes. Sir, it's time," Douglas announced in a clear, carrying voice. The music seemed to fade as guests turned to watch the exchange. Vincent calmly stood, straightening his jacket. "Is everything ready?" Vincent asked Douglas. "Yes, sir. All arrangements have been confirmed." Natalie approached, confusion evident on her face. "Vincent, what's going on?" Vincent turned to her with a slight smile. "Leo's surprise." "Surprise?" Leo echoed, looking between his father and Douglas. Vincent knelt beside his son. "Remember how you said you wished you could see a real rocket launch? Cape Canaveral called this morning. They had a last-minute viewing opportunity open up for tomorrow's launch. The jet is waiting." Leo's eyes widened in disbelief and excitement. "Really? We're going to see a rocket launch?" "If we leave now," Vincent confirmed. The room remained silent as this exchange unfolded. Patricia, who had returned to the reception, stood frozen mid-gossip. Derek Sullivan's calculating expression had transformed to one of grudging respect. But, Mom's wedding, Leo said, looking at Natalie uncertainly. Vincent watched his ex-wife carefully. This was the moment of truth. Would she revert to putting her desires first, or had she truly changed? Natalie smiled at Leo. You should go, sweetheart. It's the opportunity of a lifetime. Are you sure? Leo asked. Absolutely, Natalie affirmed. You can tell me all about it when you get back. Vincent stood, extending his hand to Martin. Congratulations again. We'll see you both when we return. As Vincent and Leo followed Douglas toward the exit, whispers erupted throughout the room. Patricia's face had turned an alarming shade of red. Derek Sullivan drained his champagne glass with a grimace. Vincent placed his hand on Leo's shoulder as they walked out. The boy practically vibrated with excitement, previous embarrassment forgotten. This was Vincent's true revenge, not just surviving Patricia's attempt to humiliate them, but transforming the moment into a triumph that everyone in that room would remember. As they settled into the limousine, Leo turned to his father. Did you really just find out about the rocket launch today? Vincent smiled. Let's just say I like to be prepared for all possibilities. The limousine pulled away from the curb, leaving behind a reception where Vincent Russo had once again demonstrated that he was not a man to be underestimated or betrayed. Chapter 9. Legacies. 5 years passed. Leo had grown into a confident 17-year-old, excelling academically and as captain of his school's baseball team. Vincent had continued to build his real estate empire, now spanning 6 states with projects that had redefined urban development on the East Coast. Natalie and Martin's marriage appeared stable. They had a 3-year-old daughter, Emma, whom Leo adored. The custody arrangement had evolved as Leo grew older, allowing him more agency in deciding when to visit each parent. Vincent maintained his vigilance, but had scaled back active surveillance as Natalie consistently demonstrated commitment to Leo's well-being. Patricia Harmon had moved to Florida after selling her condo, maintaining minimal contact with the family. Brendan Powell had never returned to Boston, eventually settling in Berlin, where he maintained a modest gallery far removed from his previous ambitions. On a crisp autumn morning, Vincent sat in his home office reviewing plans for his most ambitious project yet, a sustainable urban community in a formerly industrial area of the city. Leo knocked and entered, looking uncharacteristically serious. Dad, can we talk? Vincent set aside his work immediately. Of course. Everything okay? Leo sat across from him. Mom and Martin invited me to spend Christmas with them in London this year. Martin's teaching a semester abroad program, and they'll be there through January. I see, Vincent replied neutrally. And what do you want to do? I'd like to go, Leo admitted, but I don't want to leave you alone for Christmas. Vincent studied his son, nearly a man now, thoughtful and considerate in ways that made him immensely proud. I appreciate your concern, but you should go. It'll be a great experience. You're sure? Leo pressed. Because Martin mentioned there's a prestigious winter academic program I could participate in while we're there. It would look good for college applications. Vincent felt a momentary flash of the old suspicion. What kind of program? Astrophysics at Imperial College, Leo explained. It's only 2 weeks, but they typically only accept college freshmen. Martin pulled some strings because of my advanced math scores. Vincent relaxed. Leo's passion for astrophysics had developed naturally over the years, encouraged equally by Vincent and, to his credit, by Martin, who had connections in academic circles. When would you leave? Vincent asked. December 20th, Leo replied. Back January 12th. Vincent nodded. I'll have Douglas arrange the travel details. Actually, Leo hesitated. Mom already booked the tickets. Business class. All right, Vincent conceded. But I'll still have Douglas coordinate security protocols. Leo smiled, used to his father's protective measures. Thanks, Dad. As Leo stood to leave, Vincent had a thought. Leo, did your mother ever tell you about the day she and I met? Leo shook his head. Not really. Why? It was at an art exhibition at Westover Gallery. I was there because I just purchased the building. Vincent leaned back in his chair. Your mother was working as an assistant curator. She spent 20 minutes explaining why a particular sculpture was meaningful, even though most people just walked past it. Was it a good sculpture? Leo asked. Objectively? Probably not. But she made me see something in it that I wouldn't have noticed otherwise. Vincent smiled slightly at the memory. That was her gift, seeing value where others didn't. She's applied that same perspective to her relationship with you all these years. Leo seemed surprised by this rare moment of Vincent speaking positively about Natalie. Why are you telling me this now? Because understanding why people make the choices they do is important, Vincent explained. I've taught you to be vigilant, to recognize patterns, to protect yourself from betrayal. Those are valuable lessons. But there's value in recognizing growth too. The following weekend, Natalie and Martin joined Vincent and Leo for dinner at Vincent's penthouse, a quarterly tradition they had established to discuss Leo's academic progress and future plans. These dinners had evolved from tense, awkward affairs to reasonably comfortable co-parenting discussions. After dinner, while Leo showed Martin his latest telescope setup on the balcony, Natalie lingered in the living room with Vincent. "Thank you for approving the London trip," she said. "It means a lot to Leo." Vincent nodded. "The academic program sounds worthwhile." "It is," Natalie confirmed. Martin's colleague who runs it was impressed with Leo's application. "He's worked hard," Vincent acknowledged. A moment of silence passed between them, not uncomfortable, but weighted with history. "Vincent," Natalie began hesitantly, "after all these years, I have to ask, did you always have the rocket launch plan for my wedding day? Or was that spontaneous?" Vincent smiled slightly. "What do you think?" "I think you never leave anything to chance," Natalie replied. "My mother was horrible to you that day, but somehow you turned it into Leo's most cherished memory." "Patricia made her choices," Vincent said simply. "I made mine." Natalie studied him. "You never told Leo about Brendan, about what really happened." "Leo doesn't need to know every detail," Vincent replied. "He knows what matters, that we both love him, even if we couldn't make our marriage work." "That's surprisingly generous of you." Vincent shrugged. "It's not generosity. It's strategy. Leo's happiness has always been the priority." As Martin and Leo returned from the balcony, Vincent observed the easy rapport between them. Martin had proven to be a steady influence in Leo's life, encouraging his academic interests without trying to replace Vincent as a father figure. Later that night, after everyone had left, Vincent received a call from Douglas. "The Sullivan brothers met today," Douglas reported. "Derek still seems interested in challenging the zoning for the Riverside project." "Expected," Vincent replied. "Continue monitoring, but don't interfere yet." "Yes, sir." And Mrs. Sullivan's mother made another large withdrawal from her Florida account. Third one this month. Vincent frowned slightly. "Interesting. Keep me informed." As he ended the call, Vincent walked to his office and opened a desk drawer. Inside lay a black notebook, newer than the one he'd used to document Natalie's betrayal, but serving the same purpose. Vincent added a brief note about Patricia's unusual financial activity. Vincent Russo never forgot a betrayal, and he never stopped watching for the next one. But he had learned that vengeance, like all things of value, required patience and precision. Sometimes the greatest revenge wasn't immediate destruction, but calculated restraint, knowing you could strike at any moment, but choosing the perfect time. The Riverside project would proceed regardless of Derek Sullivan's maneuvering. Patricia's financial desperation would eventually lead her back to Boston, where Vincent would be waiting. And Leo would continue to grow into a man who understood both vigilance and compassion, the most valuable legacy Vincent could provide. Vincent closed the notebook and returned it to the drawer. Some battles were worth fighting immediately. Others improved with time, like fine wine or carefully laid investments. He walked to the window, gazing out at the city he had helped reshape. From betrayal had come strength, from loss had come focus. Vincent had not merely survived. He had transformed every setback into advantage, every threat into opportunity. That was the true power of patience. That was the ultimate revenge. And there you have it. Another story comes to an end.